Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 17, Text 10, Translation all the way through. Is someone translating? Or everyone understand? Oh, okay. So, Anye Cha Nadaha Nadyaha Cha Varshe Varshe Santi Bahushaha Meru Adi Giri Duhitaraha Shatashaha Anye Chanada Nadyas Chavarshe Varshi Santi Bahusho Mervadi Giri Duhitara Shatashaha. That's the way it is. It's one line. This is all one line. Previous verses you're seeing one line. It's so many words. This is a short verse. So, I'll just read the translation. Many other rivers, both big and small, flow from the top of Mount Meru. These rivers are like daughters of the mountain, and they flow to the various tracts of land in hundreds of branches. Text 11, because the etiquette is not to give class on the verse which has not been commented upon by our Acharya. So, text 11, next verse. Tatrapi bharatameva varsham karmakshetram anyani ashtavarshani svarginam punyachesho pabhogasthanani bhomani swargapadani vyapadishyanti. Translation. Among the 9 varshas, the tract of land known as Bharata Varsha is understood to be the field of fruitive activities. Learned scholars and saintly persons declare the other 8 varshas to be meant for very highly elevated pious persons. After returning from the heavenly planets, they enjoy the remaining results of their pious activities in these 8 earthly varshas. Purport. The heavenly places of enjoyment are divided into 3 groups: the celestial heavenly planets, the heavenly places on earth, and the Billa heavenly places which are found in the lower regions. Among these 3 classes of heavenly places, Bhoma Swarga Padani, the heavenly places on earth, are the 8 varshas other than Bharata Varsha. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Kshine punye maritya lokang vishanti. When the persons living in the heavenly planets exhaust the results of their pious activities, they return to this earth. In this way they are elevated to the heavenly planets, and then they again fall to the earthly planets. This process is known as Brahmanda Brahmana, wandering up and down throughout the universes. Those who are intelligent, in other words, those who have not lost their intelligence, do not involve themselves in this process of wandering up and down. They take to the devotional service of the Lord, so that they can ultimately penetrate the covering of this universe and enter the spiritual kingdom. Then they are situated on one of the planets known as Vaikuntha Loka, or still higher, Krishna Loka, Golok Vrindavan. A devotee is never caught in the process of being promoted to the heavenly planets and again coming down. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Irupe Brahmanda Brahmite Kono Bhagyavan Jeev Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Bij. Among all the living entities wandering throughout the universe, one who is most fortunate comes in contact with a representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and thus gets the opportunity to execute devotional service. Those who are sincerely seeking the favor of Krishna come in contact with a guru, a bona fide representative of Krishna. The Mayavadis indulging in mental speculation and the Karmis desiring the results of their actions cannot become gurus. The guru must be a direct representative of Krishna, who distributes the instructions of Krishna without any change. Thus, only the most fortunate persons come in contact with the Guru. As confirmed in the Vedic literatures, tad vijnanartam sagarum ivabhigachet. One has to search out a guru to understand the affairs of the spiritual world. Srimad Bhagavatam also confirms the point. Tasmad gurung prapadyeta jigyasu shreya uttamam. One who is very interested in understanding the activities of the spiritual world must search out a guru, a bona fide representative of Krishna. From all angles of vision, therefore, the word guru is especially meant for the bona fide representative of Krishna and no one else. Padma Purana states, Avaishnavo gurur nasyat. One who is not a Vaishnava or who is not a representative of Krishna cannot be a guru. Even the most qualified Brahmana cannot become a guru if he is not a representative of Krishna. Brahmanas are supposed to acquire 6 kinds of auspicious qualifications. They become very learned scholars, patam, and very qualified teachers, patam. They become expert in worshipping the Lord or the demigods, yajam, and they teach others how to execute this worship, yajam. They qualify themselves as bona fide persons to receive alms from others, patigraha, and they distribute the wealth in charity, dana. Yet, even a Brahmana possessing these qualifications cannot become a guru unless he is the representative of Krishna. Guru nasasya. Vaishnavashvapachak guru. But a Vaishnava, a bona fide representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, can become a guru even if he is svapach, a member of a family of dog-eaters. Of the 3 divisions of heavenly planets, Swarga Loka, Bhoma Swarga is sometimes accepted as the tract of land in Bharatavarsha, known as Kashmir. In this region there are certainly good facilities for material sense enjoyment, but this is not the business of a pure transcendentalist. Rupa Goswami describes the engagement of a pure transcendentalist as follows. Anyabhilashita shunyam jnanakamadhyana vritam anukulyena krishnanu shilanam bhaktiruttama. One should render transcendental loving service to the Supreme Lord, Krishna, favorably and without desire for material profit or gain through furtive activities or philosophical speculation. That is called pure devotional service. Those who fully engage in devotional service to Krishna just to please him are not interested in the 3 divisions of heavenly places, namely Divya Swarga, Bhoma Swarga, and Billa Swarga. So, you'd like to just read the Sanskrit and the translation again? So this section of the Bhagavatam is like a transcendental geography class. Of course, we're not particularly interested in geography. Most of our devotees, they're not particularly interested in material subject matters. That's why they join this movement. In the Bhagavatam, you'll find everything: geography, history, physics, medicine, vidya bhagavata divi. The limit of knowledge is up to the standard given in Srimad Bhagavatam. So we may ask that this Srimad Bhagavatam, this is in connection with Krishna. We see that Srila Vyasadeva wrote this Srimad Bhagavatam after feeling despondent and being instructed by his guru Narad Muni that the reason for your despondency is because you did not directly speak about Krishna. So we'll find in other Puranas there's also geography lessons. So why has Srila Vyasadeva again included this within the Srimad Bhagavatam? The answer is that all of the Srimad Bhagavatam is meant for teaching us about Krishna. And the whole science of Krishna, this Srimad Bhagavatam is the science of Krishna. Bhagavat Tattva Vijnanam, that is described. This is Bhagavat Tattva Vijnana, means the science of knowledge of Krishna. The whole of the science of knowledge of Krishna is understood in 3 phases called Sambandha, Abhideya and Prayojana. Sambandha means to understand our relationship with Krishna. Abhideya means to act in that relationship, and Prayojana means to enter into that relationship to achieve the perfection of life. So here the geography of the universe is being given. What is the position of the different planets, how one goes to different planets according to his fruitive activities. This 5th canto will be concluded with a description of those who perform very sinful activities, the kind of planets they go to, namely the hellish planets. So this is all given here, but the point is not to infuse us to go to the heavenly planets. Here is described how you can go to the heavenly planets. So we may think, that sounds very nice. But Srimad Bhagavatam is supposed to be read after reading Srimad Bhagavad Gita. And there already it's described in Bhagavad Gita that this material world is miserable from the top to the bottom. What is that verse? Who can say? Again and again, he said correctly. You've also said correctly. But specifically, Abrahma. Up means from the planet of Brahma. Down, all the way down. Up, down, all the way. This material world, it's simply a place of misery. And Shukadeva Goswami, from the very beginning of his instruction, has said that this material world is a useless place. So a description is being given, not with the idea that we can go and enjoy it. Okay, let's go and enjoy the heavenly planets. But rather to reinforce our conviction that this material world, it is useless. We have no business to stay here. This is Sambandha Gyan. Sambandha Gyan means, Sambandha literally means relationship. Who is God? What is our relationship with Him? So another purpose for giving a description of the universe is just to see how great is Krishna. Again, that is described in the Gita, that Lord Krishna, He creates everything within the universe, namate jang shashambhavam, just by a tiny, tiny spark of His power. So if we see what is the description of the universe, how vast is this universe, how big it is, and we are so small within it, and we are trapped in it by our furtive activities, then how great is Krishna? So this knowledge is being given for this purpose, to understand our relationship with Krishna. So this Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojana, this is the whole subject of Srimad Bhagavatam. This is the whole subject of all the scriptures. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has confirmed this, if we read in Chaitanya Charitamrita, that all the scriptures, they are to be understood, Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojana. What is our relationship with God? How to act in that relationship, and how to enter into that relationship. What is the perfection of life? And all philosophy is based on this, Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojana. Real philosophy means to understand Krishna. But even those who are not devotees of Krishna, they also define their philosophy in terms of Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojana. Those who are Mayavadis, they say, what is our Sambandha with God? I am God. But I've forgotten it. So Abhideya means to act in such a way that I will remember that I am God by performing austerities. I could never understand this, how by performing austerities you could suddenly remember that you're God. By emaciating the body and performing many difficult things, all of a sudden, ding, I'm God. You suddenly remember. But they have some funny idea. I mean, the whole idea is funny, so it's not surprising that everything they do is absurd. Then their prayojan, their goal of life is to remember that I am God, and then become absorbed in some kind of white light somewhere. So that's the Mayavadi's idea, Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojan. Of course, those who are different kind of Mayavadi, their Sambandha, because they say everything is one, so their Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojan is all one also. They say, their Sambandha is, I am God, and I've already realized I'm God, so there's no need to do anything, I'll just go to sleep and think I'm God. So that leaves out all philosophy, all religious practice. Even Shankaracharya had no such idea. Even Shankaracharya was teaching people to act in such a way that at least they might become, by performing some austerities, they might at least become a little bit detached from this material world. But the modern so-called Mayavadis, they don't even do that. They think, well, I'm God, so I can do whatever I like. So this is the degradation. Even Mayavadis are degraded, but even more degraded in the modern age. Even the followers of Shankaracharya, those who are strictly following, were a little bit strict. Nowadays people just think, well, I'm God, so I can do whatever I like. Foolish, grossly foolish. So everywhere, even the materialists, Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojana, their Sambandha is that I am this body, and the goal of life is to enjoy sense gratification. So we should act, how to act for that, work hard like an ass to get some money. So that is their Abhideya. So we see Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojana, they're all intimately mixed. According to our understanding, we set our goal of life and we act in such a way to attain it. Therefore, in Krishna consciousness, we have these classes to understand what is the goal of life, how to attain it, and what happens when we do attain it. Therefore, these classes are essential to fix our proper understanding. Because if we have a wrong understanding, then everything's going to be wrong. If we have the wrong philosophy, then everything's wrong. If we're practicing Krishna consciousness or chanting Hare Krishna, but we're thinking that actually I'm God, then we won't get the proper benefit. Just like you'll find in India, many people, they chant Hare Krishna, but their aim is that I am Krishna, so I'm chanting my own name. So they may chant for millions of lifetimes, but they won't get any benefit from such chanting. So, proper philosophical understanding. Unless we have proper understanding, then definitely we're going to act wrongly. And even if we have the correct understanding, still we have to get the correct understanding of how to act in such a way to attain our goal. Because speculation may be about different things. Speculation about Sambandha, speculation about Abhideya, speculation about Prayojana. If we speculate that actually I'm already very advanced devotee, I just came here for my Leela, then we're not going to get any benefit from chanting Hare Krishna, because we're thinking I'm already advanced. And Krishna doesn't accept such chanting. Krishna accepts chanting in the very humble mood. Ayi nanda tanuja kinkarang patitang mang vishame bhavam udho kripaya tava pada pankaja stita dhuli sandarishang vichinta. If one is calling out to Krishna in a very humble mood, that Krishna, I'm very fallen, please help me, then Krishna will certainly respond. But if we're thinking that I'm already advanced, then where's the question of endeavoring to make any advancement? So then even though we go on with our chanting and everything, but there won't be any proper effect because the attitude is all wrong. Therefore, Sambandha has to be clearly understood that I'm very small, I'm very tiny, I'm the eternal servant of Krishna, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is Sambandha Gyan. Sambandha means to understand Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I am His eternal servant, I am not this body, I am simply identifying with this body due to Maya, I am in Maya because I rebelled against Krishna, Krishna bahimukhoya bhogavancha kare, nikatastha mayatare, japati adhare. Now I should come out of this Maya by chanting the holy names of Krishna and prepare myself to go back home, back to Godhead. So this is Sambandha Gyan, and Abhideya means the process of devotional service. That also we have to perform under proper direction. Because if we do it wrongly, or if we don't follow it properly, then everything's going to be wrong again. Everything's going to be just like, we may have the correct understanding, but if we don't follow the process of Krishna consciousness properly, then everything's going to be all wrong. Just like in Sambandha, everything's going to be wrong. If you have the wrong idea, there's so many wrong ideas. That's why we say Apasampradaya. Apasampradaya means they're chanting Hare Krishna, they've got some idea that Krishna is God, but all mixed up. Just like there is the Gauranagaris. They have the deity of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with Vishnu Priya, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is playing a flute. So they got the wrong idea. They're mixing up Krishna Lila with Gaura Lila. Or they may offer fish with tulsi leaves, because they like to eat fish, and it's vegetarian, right? It's the fruit of the river. So, Ganga Phal, they say. So because they want to enjoy sense gratification, they change the philosophy, misinterpret it, and instead of, therefore, their process of worship becomes all wrong, because they want to enjoy sense gratification. Or they invent some new mantra, Nitai Gaur Radhe Sham Hare Krishna Hare Ram, because they think they think that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he couldn't give the proper mantra. He was nice, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but not really very intelligent enough. So he gave Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Now we've become more intelligent, so we've invented a new mantra, very nice mantra, by which we'll chant and spoil our lives. So they have so many different wrong ideas. So therefore we have to follow Guru, Sadhu, Shastra exactly. Otherwise, if you get one thing wrong, you get everything wrong. Just like in a mathematical calculation, you may be very expert in calculating with trigonometry and calculus and geometry and algebra, but if you make some mistake, then everything's wrong. Just like if you're building a bridge, big bridge, that so many cars and lorries will go over. So you have to use mathematics to calculate the stress and the strain and what quality of steel you have to use and how much you have to use. So you may be very expert in your calculations, but if you make a mistake, and based on that mistake you build the bridge wrong, then it may look like a very nice bridge, but when the cars and trucks drive over it, then after a short time, boom, the whole bridge will break, and you'll be sent to prison. And all the people will die, and you'll have to build the bridge again, because you made a mistake. As the saying goes, a miss is as good as a mile. Do you know that saying? Do you have similar saying? It means when you're shooting, say bows and arrows, they have the target. So if you miss it, you may miss it by 1 centimeter, or you may miss it by 1 kilometer. But if you miss, no points. So one may be thinking, I'm doing everything very nicely, but if he gets the wrong idea, then he's wrong. And by making a wrong idea, we can't become right. Krishna is the Supreme Perfect, so we cannot approach Him by any imperfect understanding. So therefore the proper idea has to be there, and even if the proper idea is there, proper philosophy, then we have to have the proper methodology also. Philosophy, methodology. Philosophy means Sambandha Gyan, and Abhideya means the methodology, how to approach Krishna. So how to approach Krishna, that is based on chanting in this Kali Yuga, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama Eva Kevalam, Kalo Nascheva, Nascheva, Nascheva Gati Ranyata. In this Kali Yuga, the way to approach Krishna is by chanting His holy names. However, because we are very contaminated, being products of Kali Yuga, or rather because we are so sinful that we like to be born in this Kali Yuga, but somehow by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu we've been saved from the hellish activities of Kali Yuga. But there anyway, because we are conditioned souls, Kali Yuga or not Kali Yuga, we are fallen. Therefore we have to follow the process of devotional service very particularly, very nicely, very exactly, to get the proper result. Otherwise we're chanting, but if we're to come to the pure stage of chanting, to help us to become purified, we have so many rules and regulations. Therefore, Rupa Goswami, who is the father of devotional service, we are called Rupanugas, because we follow in the footsteps of Srila Rupa Goswami. He has given his book, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which Srila Prabhupada has very mercifully translated as the nectar of devotion, which gives rules and regulations how we can become purified. The rules and regulations are meant for our purification, because the rules and regulations, they are based upon hearing and chanting about Krishna, and they regulate, the word regulation is there, they regulate our hearing and chanting. So even Rupa Goswami, he is saying that these are the basic rules, and how they are instituted in the life of the devotee, that is according to the direction of the spiritual master. The rules begin, Ado Gaurvashrayam, with taking shelter of a spiritual master. It's also described in this purport. Tata Krishna Dikshanushikṣanam. Then taking initiation from a spiritual master, taking instruction from him. Sambrama Guru Sevaya, with serving the spiritual master with great awe and reverence. So exactly how the rules and regulations are to be followed, that is given by the spiritual master. And Rupa Goswami says that the details may differ from one spiritual master to another, but the basic principles are the same. The basic principles are that one should rise early. Of course, that's not mentioned in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, because that is a basic part of life in Vedic civilization. It's just like in Hari Bhakti Vilas, so many things are not mentioned, because it's understood that people from that culture, they understand that already. You don't have to tell. So anyway, there are so many things. Rising early, attending Mangalarti, chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra Japa. Now, here's a detail that some spiritual masters, traditionally in the past, they have asked their disciples to chant minimum 64 rounds. And Srila Prabhupada has asked us to chant minimum 16 rounds. So, it is not that because we are being asked to chant less, that we will get any less effect, because the active principle in our deliverance is the mercy of the spiritual master. So, he tells us to chant 16 rounds. He doesn't tell us to sleep or to play football in the remaining time, but he tells us to engage in devotional service for spreading this Sankirtan movement, and by his mercy, whatever defect may be there, or whatever lacking may be there, he covers that up by his mercy. That mercy means he engages us in devotional activities for remembering Krishna. So details are there. Specifically in this Krishna conscious movement, we follow His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who is the founder Acharya of ISKCON, and exactly how we should execute our devotional service, that has been given by him. He is the founder Acharya of ISKCON, which is the organization of Vaishnavas, which is meant to purify the world for the next 10,000 years. Therefore, Prabhupada's instructions on how to execute devotional service, they are very, very important, and just as we should not speculate with the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, just like we shouldn't give Chaitanya Mahaprabhu a flute, so similarly, we should be very careful not to speculate with the process of devotional service as given to us by our Acharya. If we do that, then there will be disaster. That's all, disaster. Now, that may be done in different ways, because the tendency, our tendency as conditioned souls, is we always like to speculate and change something. So we see, some of our devotees, they had a speculation. They thought, well, chanting Hare Krishna is very nice, but people can't understand this properly. We're living in the Western world, so let us chant in English all the prayers. And we'll dress ourselves as Christians, monks, with orange robes, and then people will like it better. But nobody liked it better, and they lost their spiritual strength by defying the order of the spiritual master. And after some time they realized that we're losing all our strength, we're not becoming Krishna conscious. We should know, if we're becoming Krishna conscious, that bhakti prayojana bhavo viraktir anyatra chaisha. We get an experience of God. We feel our advancement, and we feel detachment from material life. If you follow it properly, you get the result. So, that was a very gross deviation, but there may be so many other different kinds of speculations, deviations, little bit this way, little bit that way. But what happens is, if you speculate this way or that way or another way, then you don't get to the point of Prayojana. Prayojana means going back home, back to Godhead, to live with Krishna and dance with Krishna eternally. So if we don't get Sambandha right, and if we don't get Abhideya right, then no Prayojana, we miss it. Just like take one machine, you take a rifle, a gun. If you have to make it properly, that's like Sambandha. Then you have to know how to fire it properly, that's Abhideya. And you have to know what the target is. So Sambandha and Abhideya, they're all meant for hitting the target. But if you don't want to hit the target, or if you have the wrong idea of what the target is, or if you're not fit in the first place to shoot because you can't see properly, you don't want to see, you don't want to shoot, you're not trained properly, then you'll miss. Even in shooting you have to be trained. Training has to be there. So Abhideya means one is trained in the process of devotional service. So if you deviate You see, if you're standing at a distance and you put the gun a little bit to the side, then the bullet goes on a tangent and it misses the target. So in the same way, if we don't get our philosophy, we don't understand properly, if we don't follow the process of Krishna consciousness properly, then we're going to miss the target. We're going to miss going back home, back to Godhead, and mrityu samsara vardhani. What is the cause of not following properly? That is described here. Ashadadhana purusha dharmasyasya parantapa aprapyamang nivartante mrityu samsara vardhani. Because we don't have firm faith in Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because we don't have firm faith in the instructions of the spiritual master, therefore we fall down again into this material world and we fail to go back home, back to Godhead. Therefore everything should be conducted in this Krishna conscious movement very strictly according to Sambandha, Abhideya and Prayojana as received in the scriptures, especially Bhagavad Gita as it is, Srimad Bhagavatam, teachings of Lord Chaitanya, and Nectar of Devotion, which are the four basic books of the Krishna conscious movement. Everything should be conducted properly according to these scriptures and according to the instructions of Srila Prabhupada, who is the living Bhagavat. Srimad Bhagavatam is also living Srimad Bhagavatam, not different from Krishna, but Srila Prabhupada is the person Bhagavat who has taught us how to understand and follow the Srimad Bhagavatam in the modern age. So we should follow his instructions very, very strictly, and in this way conduct our lives both individually and together as a group of devotees, and in this way make proper progress on the path back home, back to Godhead. It's guaranteed if we simply follow the instructions of Srila Prabhupada, then we will attain the goal, we will go back home, back to Godhead. And if we don't follow, if we deviate or speculate a little bit this way, that way, another way, then we may end up in the heavenly planets, but we won't go back home, back to Godhead. Hare Krishna. Is there any question? Yes. The goal, you see, Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojana. For the Mayavadis, their misconception is that the goal of life is simply to merge into the oneness of the Absolute. So people who are very frustrated with material life, they may, and who don't have knowledge of or inclination towards Krishna, they may think that this is very good. Just like people who are working in the factory, then they're just waiting when they can go home and go to sleep, because their factory life is so miserable. They simply want to finish it. Or someone who's suffering very great pain, sometimes they commit suicide. In Serbia, I was told that some of the people they were thrown out by the Croatians from Bosnia, they just committed suicide because it's too painful. Their home, everything is gone. So one who is in a very painful situation, he may just want to stop everything and do nothing. That is the idea given in Mayavad. But actually that is not the real goal of life, and it's not a very satisfying goal of life. So the goal of life they have established is simply to become merged in the white light with no particular activities, no relationship with anybody, and the goal, how to attain it, is to perform severe austerities. So if this philosophy is propagated among the general mass of people, then they don't find the goal very enlivening, and they certainly don't find the process very enlivening either. So if they think that there's nothing more, what is there in life? There's simply enjoying sense gratification or performing severe austerities to become nothing. So without any higher goal than this, they'll choose sense gratification. And therefore the population is increased, because sense gratification means more sex. You follow that? And that we factually see. That Mayavad, Prabhupada said, Mayavad has spoiled India's Vedic culture. Any other question? Subtle deviations, there are many subtle deviations, there are many gross deviations. That I gave the example, subtle deviation, one thinks, I'm already a very great devotee, therefore I don't have to follow all these different things. That's for neophyte devotees. I don't have to chant 16 rounds. I don't have to come to class. I don't need to do all these things. So if one thinks like that, then he's in a very dangerous position. It's a subtle deviation. The subtle deviation is mentally, and the gross deviation is manifest. From the subtle comes the gross. So if one is thinking, oh, I'm so advanced, then his activities will reflect that. That will be reflected in the gross field. Then what happens? No class, no rounds, simply imagining oneself to be an advanced devotee, looking down at the other devotees, making offenses to them, then you fall down. That's why we have to be very, very careful. Follow strictly. Any other question? So, Hare Krishna, all glories to Srila Prabhupada.